but it ignited a controversy because it's not in the rulebook. Ryan Johnson
Why do you keep appealing to this?
made the mistake of posting an excerpt that
If
referenced
it contradicts the rule book, it's dumb.
Isn't this rulebook from Disney, though? Like, it didn't count because he's citing new canon to justify his canon?
ability, and haters immediately descended on him because it wasn't canon.
Exactly. What's the problem? That's how it works. There's a reason why Gandalf can't just show up in fucking Star Wars. Like, we have rules. There's restrictions.
You fucking moron. I hate to break it to anyone, but one fictional book of fake space facts isn't any more or less real than another fictional book of fake space.
Oh my god.
Alright.
Is this guy really gonna do this?
Where do you want to begin? I don't know.
I'm just gonna begin by saying I'm so happy we're covering tonal after this.
Why are they saying equally true here? Who are you to tell? Who are you?
He's appealing to the silliness again. He's like, dude,
okay.
this book of facts is no more gay than this book of facts. And you're like,
If you don't have consistent rules, then things get broken very easily.
Now, there is a discussion to be had on what is canon, and everyone can use different definitions. The one I usually go with is whoever officially owns the IP and what they say is canon, because other than that, I don't know how to make it consistent and fair and understandable.
We all recognize that Disney is the one who decides canon now. That's the problem. Like we can all recognize what the problem is. I mean, how many people had a problem after Frank Herbert died and his son started writing Dunes or something like that. I heard a lot of the books weren't very good and people had some issues with them. But it's like, that's canon.
I've read all of Frank Herbert's Dune books and the first two of, I think his name is Brian Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
Brian's books are not good. They have a lot of issues with them. They really lose what made the core of Dune in the first place. Not that Frank Herbert's books were all great to begin with. I really only consider the first Dune to be the great one, and everything else just kind of loses me after that point. But Brian's books were really bad.
So if you have like in a situation like that, just like with Star Wars, people recognize that, well, yeah, this is canon. But again, the problem is that those things are canon and they cause issues.
Do you think Canto Bite will turn up in this video?
I'm sure it will.
I'm curious. But yeah, it's interesting that he's like, these are extensions of powers, these powers come from these places, this is, you know, expansive, creative, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, also, by the way, whatever is canon doesn't matter. Like, what? Oh. Well then, what even is continuity without canon?
Space facts. There was never any real definition of canon. Things shifted in and out of it all the time, and the sheer volume of extraneous books and games led to a convoluted code.
Yeah, again, so you have to come up with one that at least lines up with some level of, like, reasonability. Like, you don't just say anything with the name Star Wars on it is canon, because of what Disney have done. And so, yeah, like, the idea that there's something hugely contradictive in the Disney sequel film to the EU, which I'm sure there's plenty of that. Disney have the actual authority to be like, we've purchased this IP, it is within our right to say that that is no longer canon, but this is. And as a consumer of what is their content now, they purchased it fair and square, like, what else can we do? If you want to say that things are only canon according to your personal preference, that's totally fine by me. I just don't know that we can have these conversations anymore if everybody's changing what they think is canon. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I just, like, how else can we do canon?
I mean, yeah, it goes back to, I think canon is one of those things, especially when IPs change hands. Ideally, canon is great when a single entity or person who has immense respect for the world that's being created is consistent, and they devote time and effort to ensuring that it all works as it should. But then you have like Star Wars, where canon is just they're just playing fast and loose with the rules all the time, and they're doing this and that, and all that stuff. It isn't canon anymore, and all of this stuff that we're doing is now. we recognize. I mean, it's not controversial to say that we all know who, is making the canon and what the canon is. The problem is that it is canon, and that there are people making canon who just don't seem to, who are unworthy of it.
Well,
I guess you could say.
an interesting comparison is that Ghostbusters 2016 and Terminator 345 are all decanonized now. Technically speaking, I think you could make the argument that Terminator 3, 4, and 5 are still canon. They were just wiped out by the events of Genesis, the events of Dark Fate, even though Genesis wiped out Terminator 1 and 2. So actually, I think they do have to be decanonized. They can't make sense otherwise. I can't remember if they've actually been on record saying that, but is kind of where I'm coming from with this. Most people will accept whatever the IP is saying, whoever currently owns it is canon. Other than that, you're going to get some what I would call arbitrary rules, or at least more arbitrary than whatever the IP holder says. Because I don't think anyone's crying that Ghostbusters 2016 is no longer canon. I think that's pretty cool, actually.
Unless you're a feminist.
But to try and say that, like, oh, canon's all wishy-washy, flippy-flappy anyway, so who cares? Like, stop doing this. Stop appealing to, like, giving up. Stop being like, well, fuck it. It's like, stop saying that. Try a little harder, come on.
Coding system to determine canonicity by ranking. The only person whose opinion should matter on this is the creator of the series, and George...
I don't read that stuff, I haven't read any of the novels, I don't know anything about that world, it's a different world than my world. George Lucas and Starlog. I don't know what that's regarding, because he was involved with the Clone Wars, right? I guess he doesn't know about the EU books.
I mean, there's a lot of EU books, so I don't fault him for that.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But I'm almost certain George Lucas cares about what is canon, though.
Yeah,
well,
sure
maybe not anymore, because
Oh, I mean, I think he does.
George Lucas didn't care for much of anything other than the films and the Clone Wars show.
Right.
The Emperor doesn't get cloned, Luke doesn't get married, and Jar Jar's the best Star Wars character.
Well,
that's canon. Alright, you son of a bitch.
Well, he's right. Jar Jar is the best character.
Yeah. We all recognize that.
Yeah. Not controversial.
To ensure that
Better
every
than
new
Rose.
storyline is totally canon, and that includes The Last Jedi. So yes, everything in the film is totally canon.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, we know that's the problem. As we've said, it's not that the problem isn't that we don't accept it as canon. The problem is that it is canon and it's fucking nonsense.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if we didn't accept it as canon, we wouldn't care. We'd just be like, well, it's not canon, so who gives a fuck? We're trying to explain why it sucks that this is canon. I like that he's got, like, Giddy Yoda as, like, almost being like, haha, it's canon.
Like, haha, it's all canon.
That's bad.
It's like,
Very
we're
bad.
laughing at this stuff now. Like, do you think episode 9 is something that we're going to take seriously? Fuck no.
I can guarantee you episode 9 will damage TLJ. So it'll turn it from, like, this pile of sludge into, like, a rotting pile of sludge, I guess. And it's going to be funny. I can't wait for the first EFAP we do, covering a video essay that explains how episode 9 ruined TLJ. Like, that'll be the day.
Canon, and that includes The Last Jedi. So yes, everything in the film is totally canon. And if you take issue with that, why is this bureaucratic system any less legitimate than what came before?
Who's saying it's not canon? As in, like, as a criticism of the film? Wouldn't the whole point be that they're criticizing it because it's canon? You know what I mean? Like, you can't hold those two positions at the same time, can you? That it's non-canon and it's stupid? As in, it doesn't make sense with the canon?
I mean, people say that in the sense that I'm like, after episode 6, I just stop. There's no more after that in my mind. But, like, we know that it's like, you can't just, it's not a switch that you can just flick off and you forget the sequel trilogy.
What I'm saying is, why would you have someone saying it doesn't make sense with canon, also it's not canon? Like, you just be like, well, then you just, it not making sense with canon is fine because it's not canon, right?
I mean, if that's, is that the criteria here? Is that if it is not, if it doesn't, like, I
just figured that the point of this video was to try and explain how this, he called it a guide to The Last Jedi. Like, why would he be addressing people who think it's non-canon?
I really would.
Well, if you don't interpret it as a sequel.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's only a sequel if you interpret it as a sequel. Yeah.
Like, I'll be the first to agree that this is some garbage canon, but with how I understand canon works, my hands are tied.
Yeah. Again, it's not the problem is that it is canon. That's what the problem is.
I guess my issue comes from him being like, haha, it's canon. And again, like, my initial reaction is just like, well, yeah.
Yeah, if that world was real, if that was the real world that we lived in, then there would be some issues that we would have to resolve here so that
Because, like, you don't see us hunting
work.
down fan fictions, videos, or articles, or books, or anything, like, going, this doesn't make sense with episode 4, because we're going for what we're being told mainstream by the IP owners, that this is canon.
And it's different to entertain the idea of, like, fan fictions and stuff, and actual stuff released by the owners.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, continue.
Is this bureaucratic system any less legitimate than what came before? If you need a committee to rubber stamp your fantasy adventure plot points for your consumption, maybe you're the one who doesn't understand what the Force is about.
Well, hang the fuck on.
Can we hear that again? I want to make sure I heard him correctly.
Okay.
The storyline is totally canon, and that includes The Last Jedi. So yes, everything in the film is totally canon. And if you take issue with that, why is this bureaucratic system any less legitimate than what came before? If you need a committee to rubber stamp your fantasy adventure plot points for your consumption, maybe you're the one who doesn't understand what the Force is about.
So because you want to catalog and understand it, you don't understand it?
So, because...
Your desire to want to make sense of it means you don't understand it?
Yeah, and, like, we only consider canon what is, quote-unquote, rubber-stamped by a committee, in this case being Disney, I suppose, saying that this episode is canon. Like I said, my position is I don't know how I can make it meaningful for something to be canon outside of just myself if I don't appeal to a wider standard like whoever owns the IP. If we don't appeal to something like that, then yeah, canon is literally different for every single person, and at that point, how do you have any conversations? All I would say, like, Rags is like, oh, I didn't really like General Grievous, and I'm like, doesn't matter, he's non-canon.
This is just this seems to be just a restatement of kind of what happened before that he'd already said.
I don't know why he's making this point.
Issue, like, why can't I just say maybe you don't understand how the Force works?
Well, what a condescending thing to say anyway, and almost, like, weirdly nerdy. You don't know how the Force works. Like, okay.
Yeah, maybe you don't understand it. All right, you're taking a shot at the super fans earlier, but all right. I mean, we know you're a fan. That's what you said at the beginning of this, but it's just really odd way to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Fans hated the midichlorians because it made the Force into something small and knowable. If you've condensed the Force into a book that could be sold by canon...
So,
not the only reason.
It turned it into a physical manifestation that could be measured inside of people.
Yeah, like
you were born, and once you were born, it was basically genetic.
What I usually appeal to with that is I can't remember if this was originally said by Plinkett or someone else, but the whole, you can literally test people for midichlorians and find out who the powerful Jedi/Sith is in the Senate. That kind of, like, fucks with everything.
Well, yeah, there's that meme going around about Anakin talking with Mace Windu about, oh yeah, Dooku told me that there was a powerful Sith in the Senate,
right? Or
in the Senate. It's like, all right, let's just do midichlorian tests on everybody and find out who it is, and then credit rolls. You know, it's just causes issues.
If you're trying to go like, well, all it says is indicative of their potential, I'd be like, still, maybe. And this is the thing, I don't think midichlorians are anywhere near as damaging as half the shit in the fucking prequels. It's just there's a couple of things that get really fucked up when you really think about it. But yeah, like he's saying that because the Force was almost prescribed this, like, series of details and categorization, and that's what fans had a problem with, trying to categorize the Force is only going to have the same result or something like that. And it's like, no, you're conflating two different things, right? So the idea that someone can use Force push, that's cool with all of us, especially a Jedi. They push a chair over. Most, if not all, can do that. Someone pushing a Star Destroyer into a sun with Force push, we'd be like, now you've taken it a little bit too far, because if you can do that, what could be threatening to you ever? You have to have limitations, right? And he's like, no, limitations will ruin it. And it's like, no, it actually makes the stakes much clearer. as opposed to you could just, like I said, force invincibility. Why not? That's cool and new and interesting. Isn't that creative, guys? What do you think? Creative? Yeah? Force invincibility? Yeah?
Well, it's almost like just use the Force, use the real world of the Force being able to. It's not like weightlifting in a way. It's like, yeah, all the Jedi can do the really basic stuff. You could pick up boxes and things, but like really heavy stuff, and that takes a lot of training and a lot of, but like the mental version of that, where it takes concentration and understanding and wisdom and all that stuff that goes into it. So you can kind of scale it to something that's relatable.
Force into something small and knowable. If you've condensed the Force into a book that could be sold by Kenner, haven't you done the same thing?
Nope.
I didn't.
Here's another thing you can't do anymore. Pretend for a second that you're seeing Darth Vader for the very first time.
Okay.
What is he? Is he even human? We find out that he used to be a Jedi before turning evil. Okay, how did he get in the suit?
Oh, I cut his arms and legs off and left him to die in a river of lava.
Not mentioning that would have been strange. We find out in the next...
Yeah.
Well, no, the reason he doesn't mention it is because he doesn't want to tell Luke all
He
the
was
shit.
deliberately hiding the truth.
He hides a lot
him.
from Luke. That's part of the story.
It's something that he does. I mean, it's weird in the sense that it's not typically what you associate Obi-Wan with. It seems strange that he wouldn't. It's almost manipulative. I mean, it kind of is, but for a good cause.
I'm trying to think of like what exactly his point there is. Like there was mystery behind Vader and it was ruined by the prequels. Is that the point?
I mean, that's just the nature of mystery, to where the more you learn about something, the less mystery there is.
Yeah, like
But that's kind of inherent to the
he must
concept.
have loved Force Awakens then. Mystery everywhere. Mysteries that went nowhere. What do you guys prefer? A mystery that gets answered eventually, or a mystery that never gets answered? Like, where did Baz Kadata get Luke's lightsaber from?
A mystery that never. I mean, it honestly, that depends on what it is that we're looking at. If we take Dead Space is a good example. If you, especially in like a horror kind of setting, learning everything that there is to learn about it can, especially if that explanation is not very good, really take away from the horror aspect of it.
Turns out that the marker just feeds into a moon and it turns into a giant space squid.
Yeah, a lack of knowledge, the mystery of the unknown can be terrifying. And if you explain it in bad ways, it could remove it. But when it comes to characters, how did Darth Vader become this? What happened to a normal person that would change them into this kind of being? Yeah, I mean, if it's told well, I would prefer that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it depends. There's no reason why a character of Darth Vader is going to be worse because of explaining the mystery, unless the explanation is done nonsensically, or if it does things like violate canon or doesn't follow the rules of the universe, that sort of thing.
I don't know, I guess I'm trying to so he's saying like, oh, there's no room for mystery anymore with these fans. Like, I don't know, man, people love TFA. Is when the mysteries got flattened that everyone got pissed. It wasn't the mysteries existing on their own.
I was ready for...
I was ready to find out about Snoke,
8.
ready to find out about that lightsaber, ready to find out about Luke, ready to find out about what happened in the span between these two episodes. We got fuck all.
And then it all came crashing down.
And legs off and left him to die in a river of lava.
Not mentioning that would have been strange. We find out in the next film that he's Luke's father, which tells us more about Luke than it does about Vader. We already knew that he was a good Jedi at one point. He's still such a mystery at the end of the trilogy that just seeing his face felt like a giant revelation. We didn't really need details on Vader for the story that was being told.
I don't think anyone argued that you needed these details. But is anyone opposed to having them? Like, I'd like them. Would you want them done really badly? It's like, not really.
No, I'd rather them not done at all than badly, but I'd rather have them done good.
But sure, there are times where I would maybe advocate that, like, yeah, I personally don't need the backstory myself, but that doesn't, I don't think that means that, like, it's definitive, Every mystery for every person, different people are going to want to know different things. The idea behind a mystery is that something did make sense to make the thing happen. It's up to you to think about what it could be, or do you want the answer? And at risk of the answer being well written or poorly written.
And the mystery of what happened to him was a major component of his character. It inspired people to continue wondering about him long after the films were over. When the prequels explicitly showed how he turned, a lot of people were disappointed that it didn't live up to their imagination.
A lot of people were disappointed, though.
Yeah, a lot of people
I can
were totally
tell you,
alright with it.
Especially these days. There's a shit ton of prequel fans that are very vocal these days, saying that the prequels are strong, and that, I remember the criticisms that it ruined Vader, the prequels. But a lot of the times you'll find a lot of people saying that, nah, it really strengthens his history. And
I think there's enough of an argument to be made that Vader and Anakin are completely different characters, so I wasn't really bothered by how much of a bitch Anakin was for 3 movies.
I mean, the events he goes through in episode 3 are more than enough to dramatically change a person, right? And then the fact that he's locked into this suit.
I just think that like the difference between Anakin and Darth Vader, it doesn't really ruin Darth Vader since they're practically different characters.
Yeah, I can see that.
And how much time passes between episode 3 and 4?
Is it? I want to say
19 years.
Oh, 19, okay.
Yeah, so you have all of that plus 19 years of him going through all that.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that he's now going to be perceived very differently from everybody, and he's a part of an empire. Like, what I'm advocating for here is that, of course, he's going to change. People are going to be terrified of him from his suit alone, so he's not going to be Anakin anymore.
Yeah, and all of this stuff was set up really well so that the gap between 3 and 4 is much more reasonable than the gap between 6 and 7.
Well, what I've always advocated for with Luke is that I need to see what changed him. Yes, you can take a gap once I've seen what would have been the catalyst. You can't show it to me in 3 flashbacks that change. Like, what the hell? We saw all of it for Vader. Oh, but not that he's making that argument. He's just saying that without mystery, things go bad, I suppose.
Prequels explicitly showed how he turned. A lot of people were disappointed that it didn't live up to their imaginations. And that's a lesson that Star Wars fans can't seem to learn, because after decades of getting books, comics, videos...
I'm sorry, you've just declared that mystery is always better.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Definitely don't agree with that. Definitely don't agree.
Someone named Rucka made that comic?
Rucka?
I'm just thinking Rucka Rucka Ali, and it's... I kind of want to read this comic to see what's in there now.
Video games and, I assume, Pez dispensers with plot points etched into the Pez.
You know what's funny? I would controversially back in the day say that I think Django's way better than Boba. And part of my reasoning would be the Bounty Hunter game, where I learned loads about his character and really enjoyed the story and how he got caught up with the Empire. Point being that someone could be like, do you prefer that Django Boba it's totally mysterious? I'd be like, not really. Like, I don't know. I like finding out about him. So, like, just this idea that it's just definitive, like, oh, you stupid fools, always looking for the answers. It's like, oh, like, there's no context, but that's okay? Oh, okay.
It's taken for granted that we'll get to know every last detail. It's great that fans love this universe so much, but the fixation on literal detail suffocates the larger mythology.
You can't make this point while showing Snoke. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's an
At this point, I would just be like, so you just don't want to know anything. Just nothing makes any sense. Everything's just mysterious and dark.
Anything could happen. Anything could just get pulled out of anyone's ass at any time for whatever reason, as long as it serves something do. Like, no, there are no rules. There's no explanation. You know, by
like
creating rules, you remove mystery, right?
If you catch a person going like, I need to know Greedo's history, okay? You need it. I'd be like, all right, chill out. I don't know. And then someone goes, yeah, I'd like to know Snoke's history. I'd be like, well, yeah, that makes sense because he's like the only thing that connects
an insanely
two
important
trilogies.
Character.
But it's like, then you just have this guy being like, oh my god, you want to know everything.
That Star Wars is a vehicle for. For example, when Snoke appeared in The Force Awakens without a backstory, fans rioted and caused $15 million in damages at the premiere.
What?
Is that a joke or is that real? I'm assuming that's a joke.
When Snoke was revealed? No, we wanted to know who he was. We didn't have a problem with him existing. We were like, oh, who is this?
Yeah, if anything, I was
what's
on
going to
board.
happen with this guy? Who's he? How did he rise to power?
If
Where
anything,
did he come from?
shouldn't he be making a joke about TLJ, not TFA? Like it should be like when Snoke was killed, people rioted.
Maybe did he? I mean, he's fucked. We're just deliberating in what way he fucked up here.
Yeah.
Suffocates the larger mythology that Star Wars is a vehicle for. For example, when Snoke appeared in The Force Awakens without a backstory, fans rioted and caused $15 million in damages at the premiere. What about the Emperor? He's even more powerful than Vader. He looks like he's 1,000 years old. He wiped out the Jedi and turned a democracy into a fascist empire. There's obviously a story to tell there, and yet we learn nothing about where he came from.
Yeah, we don't need to know how he did that.
Yep.
We've done this before. I can't believe people are still making this argument. It's insane. So, Snoke and the Emperor, what is the difference? Why do people want to know the history of one and not the other? And by the way, we're discounting the prequels for this argument. Pretend they don't exist for a second. So, Palpatine being in power isn't a problem because when we join this universe, we're told an empire is in charge, this guy's at the top. The Empire control the majority of the planets. There's a small band of rebels who are trying to, let's say, escape them. They're like, okay, we don't actually...
We're not starting at step 2. This is step 1. The creation of the universe with all of the givens. You take that, and then after that point, if something happens that requires an explanation, then that's the problem. It's moving from one step to the other. It's not the beginning.
Yeah, and the easy comparison is that you have, let's just say, a TV show, and you've seen all your characters, everything's going normal. Next episode, everything's flipped upside down, half of them are dead, several of them are old. You're like, what did I miss? You go, none of them are in power anymore. You're like, wow, there's this guy who's taken over everything. You're like, what the... Okay, I'm sorry. Like, what the hell happened? And by the way, you could theoretically do this. You just need to provide us all the information we need to understand how this all happened. But they never did. They just fucking gave up. They just skipped forward. They gave us loads of action scenes in TFA. Loads of gun shootings and ships flying and... Big. Did you guys see the Death Star but bigger? It blew up 5 planets or like 6 or whatever. It was so cool.
Like, oh man, like this would be like one of those. What if in the real world another Holocaust happened? You'd be like, holy shit! How was that a thing that happened? How did we not stop that, knowing that we had one before and we've all accepted that it's terrible? Like, how did this happen?
Yeah, and then everyone just doesn't talk about it. And just like, oh, well. So the stakes are all fucked, because now we don't know how the hell the bad guys regenerate, we don't know where the hell this guy came from. How did this guy convert Kylo, or Ben, when he was surrounded by people like Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and Leia? Like, how did that happen? And it's just like, it just did. And it feels a little bit like betrayal. And then you see Luke being a cowardly asshole. It's just the same thing again. How did that happen? That's not the guy we know. We get given a flashback.
How did this shit video convince anybody that TLJ is good?
Well, I was gonna say, like, these are
guys. This is pretty weak sauce stuff.
We've had all these arguments before. Like, I don't want EFAP to be repetitive, but like, hopefully it's been long enough that people can feel like this is interesting to talk about. But like, yeah, Snoke deserves no more backstory than the Emperor. I've heard that argument. Luke defeated Kylo with pacifism, just like he did with the Emperor. It's like, heard that argument. Like, we've been there before. All these ones tried out. I haven't heard the one that nothing is canon technically, so why do you care? That's a new one for me. But yeah, let's kick on about how we don't need Snoke's backstory.
1,000 years old, he wiped out the Jedi and turned a democracy into a fascist empire. There's obviously a story to tell there, and yet we learn nothing about where he came from in the film. The Emperor is important within the Star Wars universe, but to us as an audience, his main importance is that he's the wedge between Luke and Vader. Luke is the angel on Vader's shoulder.
He's still important to the universe. He's the boss of the bad guys that control the universe.
Yeah.
Not just important to the characters.
He's very, very important. He's doing shit. Stuff's happening.
Similar to Snoke, I will happily concede that Snoke is important to Kylo on a character level. Fine. But he's also important to the world. And by the way, I would have liked to have known what his relationship with Kylo was beyond... You were beaten by a girl, little stupid boy. Psh. And then kills him later because he doesn't like Snoke. Like, oh, what a relationship. I learned a lot. Do you remember the scenes with Palpatine and Vader? They're fucking great.
That one scene where where the Emperor is revealed walking and talking. That's great.
The Emperor is not as forgiving as I am. Like, oh my god.
Just when we start like hearing the Emperor's voice for the first time, or in that movie anyway, And hearing him like laugh or cackle and talk about, we're gonna fucking kill everybody.
And as somebody points out in the chat, like people enjoyed in the prequels the idea of Palpatine's rise to power. Like that's something that people generally really liked. So, okay.
He called him a boy. I'll never get over that shit. This is like a classic meme.
Palpatine is the devil. To have him regale us with the details of how he came to power would just be a distraction from the scene that we were there to see.
Yeah, hence the prequels. Like, if they were going to tell his story, they wouldn't have it in those scenes. They would have it in their own separate movies, because the stakes do not change for the OT, whether or not the prequels exist. This is not the same as Snoke. Try harder.
Snoke has even less of a need for a backstory since he's an offshoot of that character.
What?
What?
What? Less of a need for a backstory.
To power would just be a distraction from the scene that we were there to see.
No, we need
Snoke
to
has
know
even less
how
of a
we
need-
go from the end of Return of the Jedi to the beginning of The Force Awakens, because it doesn't make sense without the context.
How is he so backwards?
I mean,
here?
the reason why it works in the OT is because we didn't have context for
There's nothing
what the universe was like beforehand. This is just what we're introduced with. But we already have 6 movies to establish how the universe was like and how it got from the prequels to the OT. And at the end of the OT, everything's good. How does it go from there 30 years later to TFA? It doesn't make sense. We need to understand that context in order to establish it, to suspend our disbelief anyway.
It's like building a Jenga tower, right? When you start out at the bottom, there's nothing to work against you. It's just you just sitting down some blocks, and that's your foundation. And there's nothing more than that you need. The more that you add to the top of it, the more that you have to take into consideration all of the stuff that you've built up to that point. Because if you don't, you're gonna have some issues. Snoke is an issue because he is acting seemingly contradictory to a lot of stuff. No, well, maybe not contradictory, but in the context of the world in which he's in, we need an explanation as to how this could happen given previous information that it's built upon. That's the issue.
Yeah.
If your bottom blocks are evil empire, noble resistance, and the empire is led by an evil emperor, okay, yeah, so there's no problems here. You can elaborate on that if you wish, but there's nothing that requires an explanation for storytelling purposes. That's the baseline. Everything is built.
It's baffling that he's concluded that there's like less of a need for Snoke.
A Jango Fett tower.
He's not even arguing for equal. He's arguing for... Alright.
Him regale us with the details of how he came to power would just be a distraction from the scene that we were there to see. Snoke has even less of a need for a backstory since he's an offshoot of that character, a wannabe emperor trying to assume the same role.
How do you know
he
that?
He essentially fulfills the function of an emperor, though. Like, in what way is he not an emperor?
Yeah, how is he failing to achieve... I would argue he's better off. He seems to be more powerful. He's, like, achieving things that we've not even seen before. With the whole, like, he could just magically connect people across the universe in a Skype call, which apparently kills you. Like, it kills Luke Skywalker to do that on just one end of it. So, not bad. He can do that without, apparently, a second thought. Same with the lightning move, where he just, like, flicks his finger sort of thing. He's in control of more power than apparently Emperor Palpatine seemed to be. Like,
This is why we criticize the sequel trilogy on its world building so much. This is like one of those discussions that comes around the power of Snoke, the efficacy and the scope of the First Order. How have they expanded? How are they existing? How are they a thing that was allowed to exist in this world? Makes no fucking sense.
I've seen several people in the chat telling us to prepare because we're apparently getting close to something he says that's real tismy.
Oh, really? Okay.
What a change.
Yeah, worse than
what we've already experienced, I guess.
Oh, man.
All right.
Us with the details of how he came to power would just be a distraction from the scene that we were there to see. Snoke has even less of a need for a backstory since he's an offshoot of that character, a wannabe emperor trying to assume the same role. We've seen enough people get disfigured in their pursuit of power that JJ must have figured we were smart enough to figure this out without having to see it again.
Smart enough to... Ooh.
Weird, that's because... Okay, Anakin disfigured. Luke disfigured. It happens to good people, too.
No.
Okay, never mind then. I
Besides,
guess.
Rags, even if it did, you're smart enough to figure out how it happened, aren't you?
Oh,
Okay, so let's go one by one, shall we? So one of them was fucking slashed by a wampa. One of them was delimbed by his friend and left to burn. One of them was hit by his own lightning. Like, all three of those are completely fucking different, but we're supposed to be smart enough to figure out which one it's going to be for each person that it happens to in the future.
Well, who's the Forrest Whitaker in Rogue One?
Yeah.
He was pretty fucked up. He had like no legs or something.
Why was his eye all squinty?
Yeah, he must have is a bad man. I mean, we've seen this before. He's a bad man because he got disfigured.
What a retarded take. You should be smart enough to know the history you've never heard of.
And then I'm thinking about what other good characters are there that are disfigured? And I'm like, well, Cat and Halo Reach is missing an arm. Who is one of the guys in Gears 5 that I played? He's missing a leg. Like, how many of these can you go through? And then it's really
Who's
not
the guy that saluted Cypher Rage without the legs?
Cypher Rage.
Cypher Rage.
A brave space marine.
Denied. Sit down.
Denied.
Oh,
and what about the
sometime.
commander
There's
in
hilarious.
the commander guy in Starship Troopers? He has a robot arm.
Yeah, well, you know how that happened. Specifically, you know.
He was a good man.
Let's just hear that again.
Snoke has even less of a need for a backstory since he's an offshoot of that character, a wannabe emperor trying to assume the same role. We've seen enough people get disfigured in their pursuit of power that JJ must...
Okay, so we don't want to know the history of Snoke because he's disfigured.
Lieutenant Dan.
What?
Someone mentioned Lieutenant Dan in the
Wait, I just want to highlight that. How many people did you meet who said, you know, I really want to know Snoke's history? And you go, why? It's like, because of his face. It's all fucked up. That's why I want to know. You're like, oh, what about, like, what he did with the Skywalker and Solo families? You're like, oh, I don't care, it's his face. That's what I want to know. Just someone throw a lightsaber at his face.
Oh, Harry Osborn. That's a good one. Good one, chat. Harry Osborn turned good after being disfigured.
Yeah, but you knew how that happened.
Someone said
Raiden in
BJ
Metal Gear
Blazkowicz
Solid.
had his entire body cut off.
Yeah, but
Nick
you
Fury
knew,
has an eye missing.
You knew how that... Oh, no. That's an example of where it's like, let's not explain that, shall we?
Also, of course, very good, Chow, in Chew in chat. The Elric brothers. So there's that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And finding that out
General
was
Grievous
extremely
was disfigured
satisfying, but fuck it, because mystery better. You've seen
Someone
people
in
get
chat
injured
just
before.
said Raid Shadow Legends. I need to take a pee break. I'll be right back.
Go for
Wolf
it.
from Sekiro, Zuko.
Let's
Don't
do
you
our
know how Zuko got his scar? Well,
we should do our Raid Shadow Legends ad, Wolf. We're commissioned for it. The
hold
best
on.
part?
I refute you.
It's free.
No, not you. Person in the chat. Knowing how Zuko got his scar, specifically who did it, is pretty important to his character. Just saying.
Well, I mean, you don't even need to count at this point. It's so stupid. Like, he's trying to say, like, why do we need to know the history of Snoke? He's scarred, sure. It's not like we can't figure out how someone can get scarred. It's like, who are you fighting against? Who is this straw man?
I got these scars.
My mother was very nice, and she fell on me one day. Well, that's not okay.
She fell on you. Is she made out of knives?
Yes. You say that like it's ridiculous.
All right, I'm back.
Hello. All we've concluded is that it's amusing that he thinks people want to know Snoke's history because he's scarred.
Snoke has even less of a need for a backstory since
While I was pissing, I was thinking maybe I should do an actual review of Raid Shadow Legends. That would probably be interesting.
I've heard that Jay is interested in doing such a thing. You should do it.
Hey,
Right, the best part, it's free.
It's free.
It's
free
free.
games are the highest of quality.
Free. You can buy some stuff in it, which is only good. Features.
an offshoot of that character, a wannabe emperor trying to assume the same role. We've seen enough people get disfigured in their pursuit of power that JJ must have figured we were smart enough to figure this out without having to see it again.
Oh yeah, Robocop.
Like
I don't like the appeal to you'd be smart if you didn't want to know Snoke's history. I find that frustrating, but I'm going to move on because... You know what? He said this was all a joke, right? He said that if you don't like comedy, you shouldn't be here. I like comedy, so I'm not going to get upset by any of this. I know it's all a joke.
the emperor,
laughing
Snoke
at
is...
it.
Someone said Edward Scissor Mother.
We were just sharing stories about how if you had a mother who fell on you and she was made of knives, you could get a scar. Isn't that right, Rags? That would make sense.
Say,
If you had
If
a
your
mother,
mother was made out of knives,
yeah.
she fell on you, you could get scars.
yeah,
If my mother was made out of knives and I fell on her,
she fell on you.
No, she
she fell
on you.
on me.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
could
mean,
get
I
scars.
guess if you fell on
I
her, the
agree.
same thing would happen.
Yeah, I'd probably get some nasty cuts from Knife Mom.
Yeah, there you go. I'm glad we managed to agree on that because that's quite controversial from what I hear.